You're listening to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Did you know that you could build a tax-free pool of wealth that's liquid and accessible all your life while building your retirement nest egg? Gain full control of your financial future and stop relying on the government and banks. The wealthy have already discovered this wealth-building secret. Now it's your turn to get financially secure without following the conventional wisdom that keeps you in debt to banks. Now here's your host, Valerie LaRocque.
Hello, and welcome back to Infinite Banking Mastery. If you caught my last episode, we went through a bunch of questions I asked my favorite lunch group, a room full of business owners who don't have a lot of understanding about long-term disability insurance. Today, we're continuing that conversation, but I want to take it in a slightly different direction today. These next 5 questions aren't really about testing your knowledge of the insurance industry. They are more personal than the questions we had before. These are questions designed to make you look at your own financial life, your own household, and ask, what would actually happen to me if I couldn't work tomorrow? I want you to sit with each one for a moment to really think about how you would answer for yourself. Okay, so the first question is, if you became disabled tomorrow, how long could you cover your personal expenses without your income? Less than 3 months? Would you be able to cover your expenses for 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months? Or maybe a year or more? For most people, the honest answer is about 6 months. The Federal Reserve has consistently reported that most Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing or selling something. Not $4,000, not $40,000, but $400. Now think about what a disability actually looks like financially. We're not talking about a bad week. We're talking about weeks turning into months, potentially into years. The average long-term disability claim lasts 2.5 to 3 years. And during that entire time, your fixed expenses don't go on pause. Your mortgage doesn't care that you're recovering. Your car payment doesn't know you're in physical therapy. And you're certainly still hungry. So what personal financial obligations would continue if you stopped receiving a paycheck tomorrow? Well, we just mentioned your mortgage. That would keep going. Or your rent, your car payments, utilities, groceries. What about your children's tuition or care expenses? Remember, bills don't take a disability leave. The fact is, if you were to become disabled, all of these financial obligations would continue. None of them would stop or allow you to put them on hold while you recover. Here's the thing, most people have never actually sat down and added up every fixed obligation they have in a month. Not just the big ones, but all of them. Mortgage, car, groceries, gas, utilities, health insurance, which, as I mentioned on a previous episode, if you're currently on an employer-sponsored plan and you become disabled, you could be looking at a COBRA payment that could easily be $1,500 to $2,000 a month or more just to keep your coverage in place. And you will absolutely need health insurance during a disability. Of course you will. You can't stop your health insurance when you're dealing with a disability. And if you're unable to work, your cost for this coverage will skyrocket. And on top of all of that, you're likely racking up medical bills, specialist visits, physical therapy, medications, possibly equipment. The expenses go up at the exact same moment your income goes to zero. Your creditors are not going to pause because you're in a hospital bed. Your landlord isn't going to grant you a grace period because your doctor said you can't work. Life keeps moving, and disability coverage exists precisely because your financial life keeps moving even when you physically cannot. The next question I want to ask you is, if you are a 2-income household and one spouse becomes disabled, what is the most likely financial outcome without coverage? Have you ever thought about this before? If you were to become disabled, would your spouse's income easily cover all the expenses? Would savings last long enough to get you through the recovery? Most likely, the family will face serious financial strain within months. The reality about 2-income households that most people don't consciously acknowledge is that when you have 2 incomes, you spend like you have 2 incomes. Your mortgage reflects 2 incomes, your car situation reflects 2 incomes. Your lifestyle has expanded to match what you both bring in. Nelson Nash talks about this in his book, actually, Becoming Your Own Banker, when he talks about Parkinson's Law, which states, a luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. And that's exactly what happens in most households. So when one of those income streams disappears, Suddenly and without warning, you're not just dealing with half the income, you're dealing with a lifestyle and a set of obligations that were designed around the full picture. It doesn't scale down neatly, it will create a crisis. We talked in the last episode about Social Security disability insurance. To recap, nearly 70% of initial claims are denied. The appeals process can take 1 to 3 years, and if you do eventually qualify, the average monthly benefit is around $1,500, which is nowhere near enough. For a 2-income household, both spouses need to be covered, not just the primary earner, but both. That's my suggestion. Okay, so at what point in your life do you think that personal disability coverage is most critical? After you retire and have accumulated assets? When you're young, healthy, and your earning potential is at its peak? Only if you work in a physically demanding job? Or do you think it's after age 50 when health risks increase? The answer to this question is, of course, when you're young and healthy and your earning potential is at its peak. As I've mentioned before, your ability to earn income is your most valuable asset. Your income bought the house. Your income funds the 401k. Your income keeps the business running. Your income is the engine behind every other financial asset you have or will ever build. And that engine is most powerful and most irreplaceable when you're young. A 35-year-old with a good income has potentially 30 years of earning ahead of them. The present value of that future income is enormous. That is what disability coverage protects. When you're young and healthy, you are also the most insurable. The premiums are lower. You're less likely to have pre-existing conditions that could limit your coverage or make you uninsurable altogether. The best time to lock in your coverage is before you ever need it, because by the time you do need it, it will be too late to get it. I've seen this happen. Someone waits until their mid-40s to think about disability coverage, and by then, a health diagnosis has made them uninsurable or only insurable with significant exclusions. Don't let that be you. I had this happen to a beautiful, energetic friend of mine years ago. She was an attorney. She has always been a real go-getter. She reached out and asked to go through underwriting for both life and disability insurance. So we connected, completed the applications, and then while she was in underwriting, she suddenly had to go to the hospital for something that was wrong. The strange thing is they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out what was wrong, but it had something to do with her nervous system. And just like that, she became uninsurable. She ended up stepping back from what she was doing and is working, but has completely changed careers and has not been insurable for disability since. The next thing I want you to think about is, what is the single biggest mistake people make when it comes to personal disability coverage? Do they buy too much coverage? Assume it won't happen to them? Choose too long of an elimination period? Or buy coverage too early? Well, the answer, of course, is assuming it won't happen to them. And honestly, this is the answer that matters most across everything we've covered in this series. Disability feels like something that happens to other people. We all know that intellectually, bad things can happen, but emotionally, we tend to believe we're the exception. I'm healthy, I'm careful, I'm not in a risky profession, it won't be me. But the data doesn't care about our optimism. 1 in 4 workers will experience a disabling event before they reach retirement age. Every single second, somewhere in this country, someone becomes disabled. And the number one cause isn't a dramatic accident, it's illness, cancer, heart disease, a back problem that just won't heal. Things that happen quietly, without warning, to people who never saw it coming. The mistake isn't choosing the wrong elimination period. The mistake isn't over-insuring. The mistake is the assumption that planning isn't necessary because the risk feels abstract and distant. By the time it feels real, by the time you've had the diagnosis or the injury, it is too late. You're either uninsurable or the very thing that is causing you injury will be excluded from your policy. If you're lucky enough to still qualify for one. And if you are lucky enough to still qualify, no matter the exclusion they put on your policy, you should absolutely take it. I've dealt with many people who have had back pain or knee pain or some other ailment that gets excluded from the policy. And they say, we are willing to offer you coverage unless it's as a result of your already hurt back or knee. Well, you know what? Many other things can cause disability than just the ailment you are currently dealing with. Like for my husband, when he was approved for long-term disability, they excluded injury from his back because he had been going regularly to a chiropractor. But now that he's had a policy for years and years, sure, his back gives him pain and really bothers him from time to time, but now it's his knees that are really messed up. And it could be a very long list of other things. There are so many illnesses that can cause you to not be able to go to work. So the time to plan is now, while you're healthy, while you have options, while the cost is manageable and the coverage is available to you. Here's what I want you to walk away with today and from this series. Your income is the foundation of everything. Your home, your retirement, your family's security, your IBC policy, it all starts with your ability to earn. Protecting that ability shouldn't be optional, it's fundamental. And the beautiful thing is, it doesn't have to be complicated. A well-structured individual disability policy, especially an own occupation policy, if you can be approved for one, can provide a real, meaningful income replacement if you ever were to need it. It's one of the most straightforward, impactful things you can put in place for yourself and your family. Okay, so if today's episode got you thinking about your own situation, I'd love to talk with you. Whether you're not sure about what coverage you have or you've never had this conversation at all, I'm here to help. You can reach me at valerie@alphaomegawealth.com. I'll be back soon with more. Until then, take care of yourselves and protect what you've built.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.